Okay, it's 4:01 and we'll call the meeting to order. There's a few things that we need to make some adjustments about on the agenda. We will not be identifying a student of the month this month. All of our little students of the month went home. And we recognized our entire staff on June 2nd with a very good participation in a breakfast and appreciation of everything that was done for Hurricane Helene. And that was made possible to us by the Dogwood Trust. And we're very appreciative to them for that opportunity. So we are also going to correct number F under 11. The Residential Life Committee will meet on June 19th. And those who can will be there, and those who can't will graciously be excused. And then in the director's report under number 9, Mr. Mark Lineberger is coming to talk to us just a little bit about Bill 584. Sorry, dyslexia kicked in. So then I will ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as I've corrected it. Okay. Thank you, Nikki. Second. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And it's good to see Tammy and Wallace always. Okay, we have minutes from May 1st, both open session and closed session. Did everybody have a chance to look over those? There'll be a test at the end of this meeting to see if you really read it. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? Tammy, okay. Have a motion from Tammy to approve. Do I have a second? Okay. Jimmy, okay. Thank you very much. All in favor of approving minutes from May 1st, open and closed session. Thank you very much. Okay. That takes us to our long lost lawyer. He's been missing in action. Mr. Cameron.
Absolutely. Well, good afternoon to everyone. As I told Madam Chair, it's a good thing that I haven't been overly involved lately. That's where we wanted things to be. So it's been a happy hiatus, but I have been working behind the scenes on some legal issues. So just to bring you up to date, we are, and when I say we, I'm referring to myself, Dr. Todd, and also the 2 directors from GMS and Eastern. The 4 of us are working with Muter Construction on a contract for them to serve as capital project coordinators for all 3 schools for at least next year. You'll recall that that is a statutory requirement to have a capital projects coordinator. That is something that DPI has been doing for us, and they will no longer do after July 1st. I do want to publicly say that John Long and the folks at DPI on this issue have been fabulous. John Long, I think, wakes up in the middle of the night worrying about the specialty schools and wanting to see this transition work very well. So I want to thank him publicly. So we're in the middle of contract negotiations, and I hope at the next meeting to have a finalized contract. I will put it on your radar that since this is a July 1 requirement, we might need a special called board meeting to approve the contract. So just keep that in mind, but I'll of course work through Tanya if that happens, but we're still negotiating that contract as we speak. The second thing are special provisions in the House budget proposal. And I'm going to stop here for a minute and turn it back over to Madam Chair to set the table for one of the special provisions.
I begged Chris to let me make this announcement. But in House Appropriations Education part of the budget, and I'm going to read one paragraph, but it applies to all three specialty schools. The North Carolina School for the Deaf of the Department of Public Instruction for function, purpose, and duty of serving students who are deaf or hard of hearing from birth to 22, the North Carolina School for the Deaf shall include the Early Learning Sensory Support Program for hearing. So we are going to return the for birth to 3.
If this passes.
If this passes. We mean, yeah.
So this is in the House version. The House and the Senate are currently in conference right now, trying to work out the differences between the two budget proposals. If this does get included in the final budget, which we obviously hope it will, the transition will be effective December 1st. Of 2025, and that is a type 1 transfer. And basically the easiest way to describe a type 1 transfer is you take all of the money, all of the people, all of the property, and you would pick it up from DPI and move it over to the School for the Deaf. So it would be a wholesale transfer of the people and the money and the equipment needed to provide these services. Services would not change. Students will still be, children will still be served in the natural environment. So in the home, in daycares, where they're currently be serving now. But instead of that running through DPI, that will run through the 3 specialty schools. So we'll let you know as budget negotiations continue to progress. The only other thing to point out in the budget proposal, you've got a copy, you can look at the others for yourself, is that we did ask that the statutes make it explicit that you can hold completely remote meetings using the rules that apply during emergencies. Some time ago, I think we talked about a Court of Appeals case that called into question the ability to have remote meetings. Well, the Supreme Court reviewed that case and split 3-3 on that case. One of the justices had to recuse themselves, and anytime that the court, or actually, no, excuse me, it was a very rare occurrence. It wasn't a split. The Supreme Court actually took it up and then said it would be without precedential value, which is very rarely done. So we don't have any good law on remote meetings. So at least we're trying to make it super clear for you folks that you can have those remote meetings. On the MOA, excuse me.
There's a question.
Please do.
Now, when you say completely remote, when we discussed this before, at least one board member had to come here.
Right, and that's what we're right now, unless this passes, we will continue to have a physical location with at least one board member. Okay, for each meeting. So we will continue with that unless this passes. If this passes, then we can potentially move to completely remote meetings if needed, with the public being able to also watch the meeting. Okay. And I'll tell you, just, you may be curious, the way we'll have to work with your tech folks, it may be easier to continue to have someone physically present so that the public can come and broadcast meetings like you are now. You know, some districts use YouTube in order to be able to broadcast all their meetings. We can revisit that if we need to.
Okay.
But what we're doing right now is, I think, working out great. So that's it on the budget provisions. On the agreement with the Department of Administration, as you folks know, the Department of Administration is supposed to provide you with support. Not any actual services, but support for things like HR and finance and business and other things. So we are right now with the directors again, working on a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Administration, and that's going very well. They're very helpful. They're very pleasant to deal with. We are just waiting on the 3 directors to give their final comments on the first draft, and then we'll move forward. So that's going very well. And so is the insurance MOU with DPI. We now have a handle on what is required, what isn't required. And the statute said that we had to have an agreement with DPI. So my partner, Brian Shaw, is in the final stages of finalizing that with DPI, and then we'll push that out to the directors as well. So I envision all of these things will be completed this month and will be in place and we'll be running. So just keep an ear out on the budget.
Okay. I might make one comment to, our audience that's here and to the board. I don't know how many of you have stayed up late at night to read the House version of the budget, but it's a very good version for us. So if you have a chance, be sure to write your representatives and our senators and let them know that we really like that version very well. If you do. So under new business, we have our director's report. And before Kristen starts, I want to make an announcement. On July 20th, which is a Sunday, in the afternoon, is it going to be 2 to 4? 2 to 4, we are going to hold a celebration for a lot of people to celebrate the fact that we have a new superintendent. And it will be held in the barn on the adjoining campuses of here and School of Science. So
What was that?
put that in your calendar. Now you can follow that.
It's June, we survived in June, and we made it. The first, I have submitted a grant for IDEA. And they're doing of that grant. Will be a partnership with let's Teresa and Dates beginning the teachers. And part of the grant will include enrichment, that specific research pertaining to that's related to language programs that are going to help cognitive functions specific to the population that have been part of hearing. And that program we will be working in collaboration with our residential school as well. Hold on just a second, I'm sorry. It is on.
I heard that.
Also, part of the grant will use the language first members membership for our staff. that is going to provide access for, our qualified deaf and hard of hearing, professional development. Also, part of the grant is going to relate to the special provision that our lawyers mentioned. The deaf mentorship training program. So hopefully, as our attorney has mentioned, services will not change, and it will be in addition to. So those are the big things that's related to our federal rate proposal. And then I had also mentioned Appalachian State, our partnership with them. We will have 5 staff members that are from NCSD next week. 2025 Innovation Expo. And Hannah is going to be presenting on new innovative practices. We'll also be presenting with interpreter great opportunity as well. And then there's 2 other teachers from the preschool. And they're certified. And they are in for a great opportunity. Well, that will be happening next week. We're going to continue to have agency meetings, preparing for transition in July, for July 1st. And we really have 2 staff that are going to be retiring, or have just retired, Judy Eklund and Angie Rogers. So we've been so appreciative of their years here and service here in CSD, our students, and we wish them wonderful future and all the best. And find them to continue collaborating with our school. Monday, we begin our summer program, where we will have 1 campers, and 51. Some of them are siblings of our current student, as well as 3 potential students. Well, and final part of our main building forward projects this week will be to, for us, to finally get you out of our office. And hopefully they're going to be finished at this week. So there's a lot going on, even though optional workday.
Dr. Todd, I just wanted to tell you not to worry about your employees that retired. I will find them something to do. Oh, thank you for that update. I am really, really excited about all the things that are happening. That's wonderful. Congratulations to your staff. Congratulations to you. Anybody else want to comment on that? Okay, yes, Wallace, yay. Okay, under old business, I want to kind of clarify something. I spoke with Chris before the meeting started, and we've been in kind of a limbo about board terms and chair terms and vice chair terms and everything. And so I want to be very clear with everybody about what is happening with that. We never knew when we really started. And that went on for a long time. But as Chris said, it's going to be my term, Mickey's term, and Jimmy's term will end in 2026. And in August, we will hold an election for chair and vice chair at our August meeting this year. So be prepared for that, and we'll take care of that at that time. But I was afraid that if the terms staggered too much, we would end up losing our whole board at one time, and I didn't want to do that. And we will try to be as cohesive with the other two boards as we can. Now, the other thing is that we also, the board will have to have training again, because, you know, we all have slept since the last time we had it, and we probably forgot it. So, but we got a new teacher. And I'm pointing at Chris. I think we can avoid having to go to Raleigh. So I know for some of you, that's really good news, but I think we can get that worked out. But Chris is going to work on that for us. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we go into committee reports? Oh, yeah, okay. Has Mark come in?
He's on team.
Oh, he's on team.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't see him. There he is. Hi, Mark. Mark Lineberger is here to discuss the Bill 584 and give us a little explanation of that. And Mark, if we'll try to hold that with under 5 minutes, I may get another star this week.
Mark, if you don't mind holding that just a second, we are gonna pin you because you're like an inch tall. Okay. Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right, hello.
Time since I saw you.
Yes, it has been. Yeah, it's been a very, very long time. So my name is Mark Lineberger. My name's sign. And I'm from Morganton. Born and raised. My father and mother, Tom and Marcia, you guys probably have known for a long time. But currently I'm living in Greensboro. I am an interpreter and I freelance. And I am currently working, I say working, but I'm currently a member on the interpreter licensure board as the NCRID representative, North Carolina Registry of Interpreter for the Deaf representative on the licensure board. So you said 5 minutes, Sandy? Whew, okay. Oh, I missed that. I'll try my best to keep it to 5 minutes. It's kind of impossible, but I will, it's a lot of information. But we'll hit the highlights and we'll get through this for the 584, House Bill 584, 854, apologize. Excuse me, 854. So the concept has been that licensure has never required educational interpreters to have licensure. And when licensure was established in 2005, 2004, 2005, DPI backed out at the last minute as far as having interpreters educational interpreters included within the licensure requirements and decided to separate themselves out. Licensure went ahead. And educational interpreters include K through 12, post-secondary, says, any sort of like training courses or anything like that, just to give you some context. Right. In the educational setting. Interpreters who are working in the public school system currently have been identified as being unqualified. And while DPI has said that they would monitor and seek quality interpreters and improvement of their skills, they have yet to have done that. As time has gone on, most interpreters graduating from an ITP interpreter training program are not able to pass the EIPA. So they're not able to work in the community. And so they are going into the educational system to work there. And they are working with our most vulnerable population, children. Many of them are language deprived already without any sort of advocacy skills. And you have one student paired with one interpreter. Can the interpreters do a little bit better now? We're trying to change some of the setup. Yes, hold on. It's better. Will that fit the screen? Okay, sorry. So interpreters can see better now. Apologies, the other screen was sort of lagging. So Mark's saying, let me get my thoughts back together. So this has been an issue statewide. Now, if you remember House Bill 317, you guys are probably familiar with that. Deaf children's rights. And they said that deaf students must have highly qualified interpreters and working with deaf and hard of hearing children. It was clearly stated in the bill, but they didn't look at what professional meant. They're just saying, because an interpreter should be highly qualified. And the person who's qualifying the interpreter should be able to understand what qualified means. And who's evaluating their skills should understand what qualified means. But there hasn't been specific designated explanations of what that is. DPI has failed because they don't have any control over individual counties, school systems, or anything like that. And DPI has had numerous complaints in which they have done nothing, saying, well, that's the county's responsibility to manage this. Something's wrong. And as time has gone on, we feel like, as far as licensure is concerned, it's time. So the licensure board has tried to collaborate with DPI, and we've pushed for change. We are now at a point where we are pushing for change with licensure, and we are moving forward with that. And it's been in progress for the last couple of years. many people who are opposing it are in ITP, interpreter training programs, or people who would potentially lose their job if the licensure went into effect. That's most of who's in the camp of opposing it. I'm sorry, Mark, say that last part again. But we need to focus on the children, the deaf children. Or the IDEA. It says least restrictive environment or setting. And we support the language of that. And we encourage a rich environment. But, oh, sorry, excuse me, we do not. Back up. We do LRE, less restrictive environment, is not, we want a language rich environment is what we are pushing for. It doesn't matter if you have a cochlear implant or hearing aids or how you communicate, multiple modes of communication. One interpreter with one deaf student is not going to be giving the most language rich opportunity and is not in compliance with IDEA or House Bill 317 either. So another issue that is going to affect you guys is that currently there are deaf programs in districts across the state where deaf have come together. Elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, where they're kind of funneling students through these groups. And so you'll say maybe 3 or 4 years. They're deteriorating. So deaf programs are, the counties are deciding to send the deaf students back to the schools that would be closest to them where they are in the district. So the opportunities that they had with other deaf peers and sign language and being not just the only deaf person is now they're back to being isolated as the only deaf person in their school, the only deaf person in their class. Counties only have a limited number of interpreters, so they're hiring outside contract interpreters, which is costing them quite a bit more financially, which they're spending a lot on. Last year, there were 5 counties that would have spent $3.2 million on interpreters per county. All 5 counties, excuse me. Without interpreters, but there's no oversight of the interpreters that they're bringing in as far as those interpreter skills, because there's no evaluation of those skills. This is something that they've contracted out. These contract interpreters are being brought in. So why is this important to you? Because you're getting students that are coming to you without language because of this, because of the breakdown that's happening all across the state in these school districts. And they're just sending them to you and to fix the problem, expecting you to fix the problem. So it's time for that to stop. And the licensure law for interpreters is not necessarily going to fix that problem. It's a starting place. It's creating a minimum standard and expectation for all school districts to follow. DPI does have a policy, but they're not able to have eyes on every single thing that's happening and all of they don't have enough staff for that. And really the worst thing is that counties are taking advantage of the word language and their language facilitator as a job position that's listed in the county. So a low qualified interpreter that hasn't had assessments, that can't pass, quantitative skills of, interpreting, they're just saying, oh, you can be a language facilitator. And
It's just dirty business.
he said, yes, and somebody whoever commented that, yes, that is dirty business. And that's happening all over. So when you have underqualified interpreters and you have a check the box EIPA, IDEA, excuse me, IEP, excuse me, a check the box on the IEP that says you have an interpreter, the assumption of access is there. Everybody's assuming that they are getting equal access to everything that's happening with their same as their peers. Is that actually what's happening? Is that the reality? No, it's not. Educational interpreters, you're by yourself, you're working all day long, going. It's absolutely impossible to focus on the educational content. At the same time, you're getting all of the environmental context that's happening in the classroom, conversations with peers, lunchtime, etc. The deaf student is completely out. They're the one that's a loss out. And if we continue to just place interpreters in there, letting the county continue to, break down these groups of deaf programs and sending these kids out by themselves and isolating them, we have to speak out. What counts as access on the IEP? And parents are not being told about schools for the deaf, interpreting standards. I mean, that is not happening. I have seen this repeatedly. I've talked with so many people and they're like, oh, what? There's a school for the deaf? Oh. It's like, yes, from, beginnings, they are supposed to be a neutral agency that's providing information. They're not. So again, I could go on and on and on about this, but I have shared my PowerPoint with you. If you want to, please, look that over. And then if you have additional questions, I'm happy to answer those. But it's really more of like a whole system thing, because I could go into all of the details of all of the different counties and the research that we've done, and it is shocking. But that is, and you are going to see the results of this at your school. Mental health interpreting appointments are on the rise. Dr. Tay, and so I did a presentation at our recent NCI-TLB board meeting. And, excuse me, I did not do a presentation. Oh, Dr. Waddle. Wyatt Hall?
White,
I apologize. Yes, okay.
right.
Dr. Wyatt Hall.
Dr. Wyatt Hall. came in from RIT and went into great depth about language deprivation, lifelong learning outcomes,
Long-term impacts.
long-term impacts. Just a wealth of information. This specifically, how it relates to a 504 plan, 504 plan, or no, House Bill 854. Interpreters who are working currently under DPI will not lose their jobs. They will get a provisional license automatically because they're meeting certain requirements that DPI has. But it will prevent new people who have not passed these assessments to be able to get into the educational system to begin working. If licensure law was not in effect for educational interpreters and DPI was still using their same requirements, what I've shared already, DPI wouldn't have
They have
any
enforcement. There's no
enforcement over what's happening in the state.
oversight.
No oversight of those counties. But the licensure law gives protection. So when an interpreter sees something that's happening that's, not in compliance, they can report that and then something can be done about it. The provisional license will have a maximum renewal that will allow for 4 years of working until they need to reach the requirements to have a full license. And that would be an EIPA score of a 4.0 or higher. Or, of course, national certification or BEI or something else that we would recognize, but we would say an EIPA score of 4.0. National Agency of Interpreter Educators or Interpreter Education says that 4.0 is a minimum requirement for anybody that's interpreting in the educational setting. And that's a national standard. We're not just making this number up. That's, we've put a lot of research into this. We, of course, aren't, people who work in qualifying and things like that. We've had to look into this. And once interpreters get that 4.0, before previously, it would be like, they got a 3.5 and that was all they needed. And then they just were content to hang out at that 3.5 and they never worked to continue their skills. And we want to promote the continuing of the professional development. We want to raise the level of interpreting and the quality of interpreting. That's going to give them ability to then work out in the community as well. It's just going to continue to raise the quality of interpreters for deaf consumers, that they're then going to have better and more access to doctor's appointments, et cetera, where they live, in the areas where they live. So anyway, all of that. I'm trying to condense this down as much as possible. Any questions?
Does any of the board have any questions for Mark?
Yeah, Dr.
Dr. Tate?
Dr. Tate?
Yeah.
So that bill will give the flexibility of 4 years, right, for a provisional license. Okay, to become fully licensed at that point, right? So who is monitoring the kids and their educational progress during the time that the interpreter is working to become fully licensed.
So that would be DPI. Now, just to clarify,
It's not gonna solve everything.
this is, the licensure law is not going to solve everything. This is really just, trying to fix the issue of, like I was explaining earlier, where you have somebody who's filling a seat and, you have a deaf student who maybe has some work on the computer that they need to do and their hearing peers are also on the computer and, somebody's, doing something else and this, that, the other. And you hear so many stories of where they're missing out on all of the things that are happening around them, not having access to all of that. The important piece of this for what this bill is going to trigger is a change for DPI system-wide where the Office of Educational Services under DPI, all speech language, deaf, hard of hearing, oral students, all of them. There's no oversight. There's no different perspectives. Excuse me. There's no different perspectives in that office. They're looking at it the way they've done it, the way they've always done it. And they're looking at the mode of communication. The communication is a mode. It's not language. They're not looking at language. They're not interested in language. That's not the perspective that they're coming from. So a lot of people are talking about that now. It's a very hot topic of debate where we are trying to raise the awareness of keeping deaf kids together in a deaf program, in a school, or at a deaf school where they're going to have, because right now it should be their decision. It's a lot of misinformation given to parents as well. Early interventions, EHDI programs, sort of beginnings. There should be a neutral perspective, and it's
Time to pay attention to this problem. Time to pay attention to this problem.
It's time to pay attention to this problem.
This is Dr. Tate. I could discuss this all night. Honestly, I could, but let me just smile here and say, okay. How? You and I can discuss this privately at another time. But how can we help? How can the board help?
I have a list. I'm just kidding. I don't have a list, not yet, but I think having a more in-depth conversation, this maybe isn't the best place right now to spend our time. But I do think that getting the story out there from you guys about the students that you see coming to you, typical transfers from hearing programs, what does their language look like? And the things that I myself see in a classroom with a student who is, oral with an implant, then that failing and then them having to then go to, another school to try to learn sign language, to try to catch up. I mean, this is the commonality that I see. Maybe you guys see something different. Tell me if you do, but this is a story that I see repeated. And I see this in the public school. I don't see any deaf signers or, a bye-bye approach on the academic track. It's typically they're sent to the vocational track because of language. And the issue always goes back to language. So we can continue on this path that we're on, trying to Band-Aid and help out. But I think honestly, we need to scrap this and start over and say, DPI, come on. We got to do something. So I have a lot more things that we could talk about, but I think it's important to tell the story. Get the word out. It's disrespectful to deaf culture. It's disrespectful to ASL. It's disrespectful, that you're not seeing signers coming out of the school systems, and then, they're language deprived and they're years and years behind. That's who they have coming out of their systems. I mean, this is what it seems like. It makes ASL look like it's less than and it's inferior, and ASL isn't. But if you see, deaf professionals, they're on par with their peers. They're just using a different language. And we're not graduating deaf professionals who are on par with their peers. And it's because of the language deprivation and the fights within the school system that's setting them up to fail. So personally, I don't care what language mode it's, human brain is going to decide. But exposing a baby to language, whatever the language is, you just see what happens. You have to start early. We have to start interventions early. And it's important for people like you guys to talk about the ESS, early sensory support program. Yeah. That we were previously talking about. That's where getting involved in the beginning is going to stop the language deprivation from happening, and it's going to lead to better outcomes in school, in the academic world. So yes, the House bill for the interpreters for licensure is very important because it's a piece in stopping this cascading of events. Having one profession in the school without a license, psychologists, speech language, audiologists, that all of the social workers, all of these professional positions have a license in advanced degrees. Interpreters, 2-year degree, just a 2-year degree, and a 3.5 score on their assessment. Come on. We can do better. All right, so I'll shut up. But there you go.
We thank you, Mark. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming and
Yes,
explaining
it's good to
that.
see you too.
And this,
Sandy, you haven't aged a day. You look at this thing. Early? That's what's going on. You didn't dye your hair? No, I mean, it's
it's all
still
natural.
thick and luscious locks. Not me. I'm having to dye my gray out. All right. Love y'all. Take care. Good seeing you.
But to what Mark has said, that's why it is so very important that we support the House Appropriation Special Provision that birth to two come back to the schools. It's that early language that we need to get back to the babies. So thank you for supporting 854 and getting that on the books. And if we want to know what to do, write your representatives and write your senators and support these into passage. Sorry.
Yeah, that's sorry, I want to add one more thing. Talking about some support. On the board, one of my roles is a liaison with the legislature. I'm sorry, Mark, hold on, we're gonna have to go back to the laptop version. It lags on the screen, hold on. So those, again, typically opposed to the bill. And the things that are being, the sponsors are sending to me. The opposition's coming from hearing individuals. When I see deaf people comment about it, they're saying, yeah, this is great. You know, we need more people to make noise about this. No, apologies. The loudest people is the smallest group, and it's the hearing interpreters who are complaining about losing their job. But everybody else is in support, but they're not necessarily the loudest. You know, so we need more support. We need them to make some noise. We need them to, you know, write to their legislature. We need to hear that positive feedback that, yes, this is what we want. So if you're asking again what you can do, this is another piece of that. You know, garnering that support from the community, who this is actually impacting, and having that, you know, showing your support to legislature.
Thank you. Okay, that leads us to our committee reports. So, Wallace, you are up for business finance.
Thank you. This is Wallace. How is the audio? Let me just check that first. Hi. It's Wallace, just checking the audio. Okay. In terms of the
This is
Business and
Tammy.
Finance Committee,
I cannot see everybody, and the non-participants are, is there a way to like take them off the screen for non-participants, because it's taking up room on the screen, so I'm just not really able to see everybody. Ray's saying there is a way to do that. Tammy, if you click on view. Oh, okay, I see it now. Tammy's saying, hold on just a second. Let me just adjust my screen. Oh, much better. Okay, thank you. Where is Dr. Tate? Laptop's off. Let Tammy know Dr. Tate's laptop. Dr. Tate saying her laptop is off. Tammy saying, I see. Okay, thank you. I see her now.
all right, it's Wallace. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. So the Business and Finance Committee has not had a meeting since the last board meeting and report. I don't have anything new to report. We do have a committee meeting scheduled for next Thursday. But I don't have anything to report as of today, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
After we learn more about the budget, Wallace, we probably will get a very lengthy report from you.
Right.
Is that me echoing? Okay, policy committee, Mickey?
Yes, the policy committee has been split into two. We have had a group working with Dr. Tate on policies that, from the 4,000 that relate to behavioral health. And they're still in, deep discussion, not deep weeds, right? Deep discussion about those. So they're not ready to present. Another smaller group, including myself and Jimmy and Michaela, looked at two policies. 4325 is drugs and alcohol. That contains about what you would expect. So the only tweak, all listed things you can do
As advertised.
or have
Shut up.
or made. The only changes we made, and this is across the board, is changing where it had director, we've changed that to superintendent. And we added a clause that says, started out, this policy applies to students while on school property. And then we added in an academic or residential setting, so that it was very clear that this policy applied to after school hours in the dormitory and other activities. There is in number two, under A, excuse me, under two, number 4, no, that doesn't. But I know that. Number 4 talks about students being able to carry medication and administer their own medication, teachers possibly being able to administer medication. And all that is detailed in policy 6125, which we have not yet looked at. As most of you know, students, except for emergency medications like inhalers and things like that, do not carry their own medication, and teachers do not administer medication because we have 24/7 nursing care. But we just let that stand for now, and we'll address that when we get to the 6125. The other policy that we looked at was authority of school personnel, that's 4301. And basically, we went through and just added the terminology where the original policy just said the principal. We said the principal and the residential life director, or if it said the teacher will, we said the teacher and the residential life trainer will, and just added that component that's necessary because we have a residential component here at school. So that's how we changed those policies. And if you agree with that, we need a, or is there any discussion? Any questions or discussion? Please, no. And we have a motion to accept these two policies as they have been amended
On first reading.
on the first reading.
Tammy
Got Wallace and Taylor.
and Wallace.
All in favor, raise your hand. Very much.
Okay, good. Human resources. Dr. Tate,
Think you didn't have two policies? Did you have two?
we just
You
spoke.
did both of them at the same time?
Yeah.
Perfect, thanks.
Right, for the HR committee report, we do not have anything for our public session, but we will have comments for our closed session later.
Okay, marketing. Jimmy?
This Jimmy. So we had our marketing committee meeting on Tuesday afternoon. Yay, yeah. Typically, it's in the morning, but for certain reasons, we went ahead and changed that. So that was sort of a one-time thing to have it in the afternoon. But we talked about several things related to the website and updating that well, and Jason shared with us as they continue to work on that, and they will continue to work on that through the summer, and they're expecting that to have that ready to go in August. And we had to put the brochure on hold as we continue to just garner some more information. There's a couple people that weren't able to show up, and so we just put that on hold for our next meeting. We also talked about the school motto, or slogan, if you will. And we are ready to propose that to the board for their review, if they like that. We have our top three, and Dr. Todd can share that with you. She was in our meeting on Tuesday, if you want to. No, okay, I will. Okay, so our top three, which I'll share with the board. And then we have kind of out of that picked our favorite one that we would like to use for the school moving forward, which is language is light. With
That,
with
that
with together
together, we shine.
we shine. Together we shine. Language is light, together we shine. And so that is what we proposed to the board for their consideration. That was what our committee chose out of the top three that were selected. And the meeting was short and sweet. It was maybe 40-45 minutes at best. It was done remotely.
That's a committee recommendation. Okay.
All right, we can, Sidekick here has informed me that we can take that recommendation as a motion. The motto, language is light, and together we shine. And if I can get a second on that, we can vote on that.
You don't need a second.
Don't need a second.
Yeah.
We can just vote on that. Does anybody want to discuss it before we vote?
Yeah, well. This is Tammy. Could you say the motto again, please? This is Tammy speaking. Jimmy saying, language is light. Together we shine.
Okay. Other discussion?
I like Tammy's
I'm
minutes.
getting a real expression there.
I'm just thinking light. Okay, it's true. Yeah. Mhm.
Are you ready to vote?
Language is light. We shine.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Tate, you want to talk about, Dr. Todd, you want to talk about?
Okay, so this
Dr.
is
Tate,
Dr. Todd. I will clarify a little bit. We did send out a poll to our staff with several options, and I think 5. And we asked them to pick their favorites. And then that's how we came up with our top 3 that we as a committee then reviewed again for the marketing committee. The concept behind language is light being that once a child has language, their entire world opens up. It's like somebody turned on the light. And then the together we shine concept relating to, we're finding it like shine as in when your name shines, like your reputation is shining. We want NZSD's reputation to shine. And we can only do that together. So first, we want language exposure for our children to open their world. And then with them, our staff, the board, all of us working together, we will then again be back to a place where NCSD can shine. Does that make sense? Tim is saying, yes, thank you. Tim is saying that explanation. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for that explanation of how you guys came up with it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and this is Sandy. I think that this gives parents of deaf students sort of an idea that the thing that we are going to focus on is language. And we've got to get the language to our children as early as possible. And if we all work together for that, I think that's going to make all of our deaf children across North Carolina much, much better educated. So is there a vote on all in favor of accepting this motto as our new motto for the school? Wait a minute, Jimmy, you got something? Or you voting?
I'm voting. Yep. I'm on the committee, but I'm still voting.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Wallace has his hand up.
Hey, it's Wallace. I'm just waiting to make sure the audio is okay. Can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me? Okay. The first thing I wanted to say is I am very appreciative of the work that the committee has done and that the staff has done around this. I also really like the emphasis on language. I totally get it and I agree with it. The one thing that, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of a parent, I'm not sure is landing on me, at least personally, is the linkage between that and preparing the children for fulfilling productive lives. So that theme, if it was, I guess, worked in a little more clearly for me, at least personally, that would feel better, but I'm just providing that feedback. But again, I
Okay,
appreciate
all in
the work
favor of
done. And
this motto being accepted by the Board of Trustees to become the school motto, make it known by raising your hand. All those opposed? Yes, Chris.
This is Chris. This obviously is not legal, but just following up on Wallace's comment, I know that a lot of institutions have mission statements that will further illuminate some of the things that Wallace is talking about. And a lot of times the motto and the mission statement kind of go together. So I just throw that out there because I think everybody agrees with what he's talking about. And I've seen that more fleshed out in mission statements than I have in something like a motto. So I think it's a great point.
And I attended the marketing meeting, and I think that is where you all are going next, is that right, Jim? To collaborate on the mission statement.
Sandy, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I attended the marketing meeting, and I think that's where the committee is going to move next, is into the mission statement, so that there'll be further explanation of the motto.
Well, I think Timmy's having some
Yes.
technical issues. I think it got maybe disconnected or frozen.
Who's first?
And Jimmy said we'll work on that in August.
And Jimmy said, we will continue to work on the mission statement in August in response to you, Sandy, but that Timmy's saying,
Okay, is
Tammy?
everybody able to see again now?
Timmy's asking if we can see her.
Okay, student,
Not.
okay, Wallace, did you vote for that slogan or not? Vote against it? Okay. All right. We
I'm a
ready
nay,
to
but
continue?
I'm a cheerful nay, but I'm a nay.
Okay, Student Behavior Health
Sorry,
Committee.
Sandy, I'm sorry, hold on just a second. Timmy, I think is trying to say something and I wasn't sure, even in the vote, if that was when she got frozen or not, but she's saying, yes, she did vote. But she said it just keeps freezing, so
I didn't know if y'all could see me.
didn't know if you guys could see me or not.
Okay. Dr. Tate,
Okay, yep. Are the interpreters okay? Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're taking a breath. All right. Okay, the Student Behavioral Health Committee met yesterday and began discussions related to the 4,000 policy series. And this will probably be one where we'll have some ongoing discussions and conversations. Next week, we'll have a smaller committee meeting where we can really dive in and go into kind of the nitty gritty of some of this, but we are taking those under review, and there's a lot of complex details within that. And so we want to make sure that we're very intentional. Appropriate language is used and everything before we make a formal recommendation to the board. Just to clarify, we are continuing with some, tap it, tap it, tap it. No, Jason says, hold on just a second. Can we pause for just a second? Yeah, it's having, Dr. Tate said it's having some mental health issues. The technology is, it's
Maybe a
Bro-
breakdown.
a little bit of a
Maybe
breakdown, mental breakdown.
and you wrote it to
Everybody take a break just for a minute. Yeah.
Amy saying, okay, can you see me
Yeah,
now?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
clear.
much better. Okay. Yeah, I could see it was glitching, it was frozen, and so, okay, it was like I couldn't get it back, the background, even I could see myself freezing, maybe still just a little bit, but okay.
Keep flashing around.
Dr. Tate saying, our next big committee meeting is July to August 27th. So it's put off just a little bit, but just because of the summer break and that sort of thing. But we're going to continue working our way through the 4,000 series. Back to you. Thank you.
And this is Sandy. I will add to Dr. Tate's comments about the complications of the Student Health Committee. I'm learning a lot, and I'm sure other members of the committee are, but there's a lot in the state and laws and regulations that have to be incorporated in this. So thank you for taking more time and looking more in depth to that. Appreciate that. Residential life, we'll meet in June 19th at 2:00, main building, large conference room. And we'll do that just to clarify some questions that have been asked and have our dorm staff feel ready for August. Academic curriculum,
We have not met this month because a situation that a former principal of mine called May Mayhem. Y'all, if you worked under Dave Clark, you're familiar with that phrase. And the truth was never spoken so greatly. So our teachers didn't have much time for committee meetings. So we will continue at another date with the committee meeting, but Dr. Todd does have a couple of things related to curriculum that she herself has been working on, and she'll speak to that.
Yes, and I've already mentioned this in the director's report when we were talking about the IDEA grant. That's related to the IE program and also our resource for ASL, helping our students and staff kind of improve their skills and what resources and curriculum we want to use, potentially depending on the age of the age group that we're working on, children, students, adults, here at NCSC as a whole.
thank you very much. Outreach, I think that meeting on the 6th has been canceled. Tammy, do you have anything to add about outreach?
Yes, this is Tammy. For our outreach committee, we have some good news, talking about House Bill and everything that's going on with our, birth to 22 and things that are coming up. So I think it's a great time. Thank you. I think it's a great time maybe of writing a letter of support for the bill and, garnering more support for that, keeping abreast of what's going on, to see hopefully when this bill passes. It could be a great opportunity, and have a significant impact on NCD and, how the future is navigated and which direction we're going to go. It's kind of going to depend on the House bill, right? So I think, Dr. Todd, maybe you want to add anything else to that or no? Okay,
Thank you, Tammy.
thank you.
And on that note, with Tammy's comment, I would like to say to the board and the group, in the House budget, it is proposed that all 3 specialty schools get $700,000 in addition, if I'm correct, to our regular budget. And it is also proposed that we get our $300,000 to pay for transportation. And unlike the Senate version of the budget, the House budget also gives our teachers 2.5% raise. So there's some differences between the budgets that if you have not looked at them, you really need to, because there's differences. And that this will go to conference. And then the budget will be ironed out of that. So, and I never, ever thought there would be a time when our specialty schools would be separate in any kind of state race. That's the way it came out. Um, yes,
That additional monies will be a one-time payout, or will this be something that would be an
It's one-time, isn't it?
annual addition?
this budget.
Which monies?
The 700,000.
This is Chris. I do not know if that is posed as recurring as an addition to our base budget, but I think it is. But we can ask that. I know the transportation money is recurring,
Okay, right.
and I would imagine the 700,000 would be as well, because it is in recognition of the fact that you no longer have support directly from DPI or from anyone else for HR, business, and technology. That's a
And,
good question for us to
Yeah.
clarify.
and that,
Right, because if we're developing a budget and there's a line item on there that would be dependent on whether or not we're getting those funds, if it's just a one-time thing, we would need to know that for budgeting purposes.
but this is part of what we asked for, to be able to do our staff raises and upgrade some positions and anything else that we affected by within the transition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I just don't want it to be one time, because, you know,
It'd be
if we're
very, very
developing a
nice if it's
position, and then that's
recurring.
gonna be in question, right?
Okay, anybody else on the board have any questions? If not, we do have some personnel matters to discuss and teacher contracts. Chris, could you give us our motion for closed session? And the next time you send to Ian, will you write it down?
Yes, I will. Ian, this is Chris. Ian and I got a good laugh the next morning when he looked at me and said, "Was I supposed to memorize a motion, Chris?" I said, "Yes, Ian, you were." I forgot to tell you that. So, thank you for being nice to Ian, by the way. It would be pursuant to 143-318.11A1 to discuss personnel matters pursuant to 115C 319 through 321 under section A3 to discuss matters covered by the attorney-client privilege, and under A6 to discuss initial terms of employment for a public official or employee.
Thank you very much. And before I take a motion on closed session, I want to thank all the staff that came today. It's always nice to see your shining faces. And I want to congratulate you, those of you that are here and those of you that are at home, on a wonderful year. I said this the other day, but I'll say it again. This has not been an easy year, and it's been a long year. So we appreciate everything you're doing. We appreciate your hard work, and it has not gone unnoticed. So thank you. Okay, I have a motion on the floor, or can I have a motion pursuant to what Chris just said?
This is Tammy. I'm so moved that what Chris said. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor of going into closed session, please raise your hand. And again, thank you all for being.
The way governance should be. Very happy.
Okay, we are back in open session. I'm ready to entertain a motion for teacher contracts. To approve those. Do I have a motion?
This is Tammy. Tammy and Jimmy? Hold on, she's like, Jimmy said, go ahead, Tammy.
It was at exactly the same time.
Yeah, this is Tammy. I move that we accept the proposed teacher contracts.
Okay, do I have a second?
This is Jimmy. I
Jimmy,
second.
second. All in favor of accepting the teacher contracts that have been worked out? Okay, that's unanimous for the group that's here. Okay, for our HR director, do I have a motion to, we have to name?
Yeah.
Wendy Hillman. And do I have a motion that we accept her as our full-time HR director? Vicky, do I have a second? Do I have a second?
This is Tammy.
Okay, Tammy, second. All in favor, make it known by raising your hand. And to approve the time change for the month of July for 12 months staff. That Dr. Todd has recommended. Can I have a motion to approve that? Vicky, have a motion, got a second?
This is Jimmy. I second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, to close tonight, I just want to say one thing, and that is to this board. We also had a rough year. And we've had a very tough start to an assignment that I had hoped would be very easy to do. We got there in the month of January. And I just want to echo what Chris just said to you. This is the way it was supposed to be from the beginning. Supposed to be easy, work together. And I want to thank Chris for all of his support through the hard times. I don't know if he's had any withdrawal from my phone calls, but I've had withdrawal from his. So again, Dr. Todd, thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, by the way, you can have the month of July off.
And Tammy said that was my question. Do we get the month of July off?
Yes.
No meetings in
No
July?
meetings in July. Do keep in mind that if Dr. Todd or Chris need us to come in for a special session, we will be calling a special meeting. Only if
Yes.
if it's needed, okay? Now do I have a motion for Chris?
And real quick, this is Chris, and one thing for Dr. Todd to check with Hannah. I don't think the board has done a continuing budget resolution that allows the school to spend based on the current year's budget until the General Assembly passes a new budget. And that's typically done. So there's a good chance that by June 30, we'll just need a brief meeting, hopefully to approve the CPC contract and also for budget.
What CPC contract?
Okay,
Thank you.
so be aware of that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
This
Jimmy, so
Jimmy.
moved.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Tammy saying I second.
Okay, and all in,
Jimmy's
before I
voting.
release
Jimmy's
you,
voting. Jimmy's voting.
Go.
before I release you, our next meeting is August 7th. August 7th at 4 p.m. Okay,
Dr. Tate said I will not be here.
told you to climb the rock, the tree, wherever you have to get a signal. Okay, now we can vote. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Is there anything that we